right, so we are talking about the Silhouette Cameo. The library has the 3. The machine I actually have at home is the 4. So they both basically work the same. So the biggest thing is the software, is learning that. So I'm actually going to start up by showing you how to use the different software. Actually, no, I'm going to start by showing you some samples. So my favorite thing to do is paper craft. I'll leave that for the last. That one's cool. So this is a Mother's Day card that I made using it. I did this at work. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
So I'm gonna peel it back so you guys can see that.
Yeah, that's better. That looks really good.
Yeah, it came out really cute. I was happy with it.
Yeah.
I also made some graduation cards with it. I gave them away because they were for the our neighbor kids. Bunch of seniors. These are flowers that I made using it. And then this is something we made for Christmas. So these are called exploding houses. I have the lid on wrong. So now when you do this.
Oh.
Oh, very nice.
Good.
So that's called an exploding house. So this is a project that I actually found on Silhouette store. I did go a little nuts and made the presents and stuff on it too, but that's just because I'm extra. So, the other thing you can cut, we don't cut it at work because we have a vinyl cutter at work. So we only cut cardstock. So I currently carry lots of different types of cardstock. We also do stickers, so you can print different types of stickers and then cut them with the machine. And then you can also, let's see, we have 12 by 12 sheets and we have 8.5 by 11 in the cardstock. We have pattern paper, we have solids. I typically pick up the paper, so I usually get it from Michael's, and I really do like their stuff a lot. We also have some glitter paper too, I think. So, and 12 by 12 is $1, 8.5 by 11 is 25 cents each. So the other thing, if you do decide to get this machine at home, so this is just a piece of vinyl. This is Oracal 651. Read it. But this is called sticker vinyl. You can also do heat transfer vinyl on it as well. We have a vinyl cutter at work, so we don't use our machine, but just know that it can if this is something you want to do for home. Everything I'm going to explain to you tonight can be done on any of these types of materials. So,
Can it cut fabric?
yes. So you do want a particular blade for that. The 4 has a slightly better setup for it, and I'm trying to think of the name of the blade.
Rotary cutter. Is it a rotary blade?
Yes, it's a rotary blade. Thank you. So I haven't tried it yet, but the rotary blade lets you do it without having to put any backing on it. So if you do want to cut felt, the rotary blade's kind of the way to go. The 3 at work we have, I don't have the same option, but you do for the 4 if that's something you decide to get. Let me go ahead and show you the software. So we'll talk about that and I'll walk you guys through how to use it. So let me share my screen. Share. All right. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
So this is called Silhouette Studio. It is a free software. We also do have one version of the Pro at work, so it's $50 to own the software. It's a very good software. It works in what's called vectors. Do you guys know what that means?
Yes.
Okay. Katrina?
Yeah.
Okay. I have no problems explaining it. So it works in vector artwork. If you get the Pro version, the biggest difference between the Pro and the free version is you can drag in SVGs, where in the free version you can't, so you have to bring in a JPEG and trace it. So I like a little more flexibility, so I kind of went with the SVG version. So I own it personally, and then we also have it at work. So there's 4 tabs up here. The first one, if you guys can you guys see my arrow?
Yes.
Okay. So the first tab is design. So that is what this looks like. You can tell I'm not very good at saving stuff. I'm gonna hide you guys. So I can see what I'm doing. Doesn't help when Zoom is in my way. All right, so this is the design. So you have tools over here, and then you have, I would call them palettes over here. So, and I will go into much more detail on that in a minute. The next tab is the store tab. I do spend a lot of time in the Silhouette Design Store because they have really cool projects. And I think they're pretty reasonably cost. And the library has purchased quite a few that you guys can come in and use.
Oh, nice.
Cut on our machine. So, and I'll show you some of the samples. Actually, we might be in, yeah, we'll have to log into the library account. I think we might be on my account. So you guys can see the different things. They have face mask patterns too. They have these cool shrimp. So they do cost money. They do have free patterns and stuff too. They always have some free stuff. So, and if I'm teaching a class on a particular thing, the library will purchase some of those projects. So, did not mean to do that again. All right, the next tab is the library. So this is where all of your purchase projects go. Yeah, this is my account. All right, don't peek at my password. Helps if I remember what our login is. That better is I'm the one who set it up. Yay. Okay. So this is just to give you a feel of what we have. So everything's sorted into folders, and I think I did a pretty good job recently of sorting everything out. But you can also save any projects you come up with too. So these are our current demo projects right here. Hang on, they're downloading. So let's see what pops up. Ooh, flowers. So you can see some of the flowers that we have. We had a paper flower class. So I bought a bunch of those. But now we have lots of flowers. Cards. So we have lots of different types of cards. We have a lot of winter. I think I just put it as winter holidays. We have this really cute, some of the pieces for this Tea Light Village. And I actually ended up making a bunch of them.
Oh, nice.
And we gave it away. And I'm actually going to do that again this year. So we're going to make the village and have it as a giveaway.
Oh.
And I will make that work. So.
Is it out of cardstock too?
Yeah. So I made the library's version out of kind of an ivory, and then I actually made a set for my grandmother for Christmas as her present, and I made it out of the brown cardstock, craft paper. And it came out super cute.
Nice.
I'm really big into 3D designs and stuff and cards.
Oh, okay.
I do a lot of vinyl too. I just made a sticker for my roommate for our door that says no solicitation. He's really grumpy about the solicitors. So that's the library. If you wanted to do a design, so we'll just say this winter cabin, you just double click it and it pulls everything right into the design space for you.
Oh, okay.
So kind of start with that. So let's go through each of the palettes and the major tools. So the very first option is the page setup. So you always want to make sure you're working at the size that you're actually cutting. So right now I have it set up for 8.5 by 11. So letter paper, my cutting mat is a Cameo, and then the machine is the Cameo. So this is just all auto. It's plugged into my desktop, so it doesn't know what it's doing. But if I was working with a piece of 12 by 12, I would shift this part. So change your media size is the size of your paper. This is always the size of your mat. Your mat is typically 12 by 12. So can you guys still see my camera?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is a cutting mat.
Okay.
So, and I'll show you guys how to put the paper and stuff on there too, and we'll get to the more practical stuff. So that's what I'm talking about, a cutting mat. If you're cutting this at home on your own cutter, you can cut without a mat. I'd only recommend that for vinyl. Okay, so you can also do custom sizes. One of the things I do, especially if I have a weird size piece of paper that I want to make use of, and I don't have to work with a whole piece of paper every time, is I'll just figure out how big it is and set the correct size, and then that's my cutting area.
I see.
So,
Okay.
if you guys are going to do stickers, there's a third part on here called registration marks. And what this does, so let me go back to letter because it makes more sense. So you guys can actually, so one of the things you can do in the library is come in and design your stickers in the silhouette, print it with these registration marks, and then with everything saved, you can just run it through the cutter and it'll exactly cut out things as you want. But you have to have these registration marks on it. So the 3 and the 4 both have a little laser, an optical sensor in it. So it'll find these little marks. You have to make sure you use the right mat though. If you use the clear one, it kind of freaks out. So actually it works well with this one. It works well with the purple one we have too.
Okay.
So you just turn those on. So it's really, really easy. This class does technically count as your training if you want to come in and use the silhouette. So one of us might challenge you like, hey, have you been trained? And you're like, yes, Anna trained me. So just make sure you say that.
Okay.
It's like, no, Anna trained me. So another thing we do have at work is it's called the Pixscan Mat. So it's basically a mat that comes with the registration marks on it.
Oh.
So you take a picture, load it up, and it'll do pretty exact cutting. I was pretty impressed with how well it worked. So we do have that mat at work as well. So this is colors. I don't use a lot of these. I do use the line a lot, especially if I'm, I do custom design houses sometimes. So if you're trying to make perforated lines, you do sometimes have to change it. So you can change it to a dotted or a solid line. So a solid line will cut all the way. If you use a perforated, you just get a nice fold. The only rule on that is you have one fold. Don't fold it twice. It'll break. I've learned that the hard way. So there's some other little settings here that you can mess with. This is a really important one. So let me find something to show you. I need a pusheen. I keep forgetting that I'm on 2 different computers here. I just use Pusheen because it traces really well and I think it's cute.
It is really cute.
You can't go wrong with a cute little kitty. And if you suffer through running my other classes, I tend to use this one a lot. And it makes me squeal. Alrighty, let's go find the image. So the nice thing is you can just drag stuff right in. Why is that up? There we go. I have too many windows open. Story of my life. All right. So pushing this now in. So if I was making this a sticker, I probably would find a bigger one. But since I'm just doing this as an example to show you guys, I don't really care. So actually, it's pretty clear. All right, so the reason I like it is because it has a nice line on it. But I'm going to make 2 of her so I can show you 2 different things. So I want to trace this. So what I'm going to do is click the select trace area. And now it's going to give me this. It's just a box. What it's going to do is try to find the black lines. And as you see, the reason Pusheen works well is it's got that nice hard line. So now it's ready to go. So if I hit trace and I had a piece of vinyl in, this is what would cut out. Now, if I was doing a sticker, I would do the same thing. And you might use this for other things too. See where it says trace outer edge?
Yeah.
See the difference?
Oh.
Okay, so it doesn't give you the details in the interior.
Nope. So you can, so if you want to do a sticker, you're not going to want to cut all that stuff on the inside.
Ah.
You just want the general outline. And Monica showed me this one. You can do, Where is it? Called offset. There we go.
Oh.
So you can create an offset. Make it a little bigger than your kitty cat. Come on. All right,
Oh.
see how it now has an offset?
Uh-huh.
So now I can object, and though so this is called a compound path. So if I release it, I can now affect each piece separately. Delete it. Now I have an offset for my sticker. So just something. I wonder what internal offset is, but I was excited to learn that one. Monica found that one. So these are their basic tools. So alignment, you can also get to alignment up here. Alignment's really nice when you're trying to line things up. So I don't know if anybody has run into that before, but there's something really nice about being able to center everything. Or make sure that they have the same line. Yeah, so that's useful. Okay. So one of the things when you download some of these pictures sometimes is they come as a grouped object. So a compound path is basically a path that's just a bunch of lines and it's all one thing. So when you separate it, you separate every single object. So if you did that with like text, you would remove like the inside of the A or the P. A group is just a group of objects that you've put together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you'd want to take something like that large brown section that is obviously the house and just cut that out separately.
Yes. And the cool thing about it is I really like is I don't have to have like 6 pages of different colors if I'm working with something that's multicolored. I can actually just shove everything off to the side and just have the active cutting part on. So let's go ahead and release this object. So I'm going to come here. Object ungroup. So now, see how I can move them all separately? A lot of the time what I do when I have a multicolor setup is I will go in and separate everything out into piles of color.
Okay.
And then I will just cut those. So in this case, I'm just going to cut my tree first.
Got it. Okay.
And then to cut it, so I'll show that, is you hit send. So big difference, and I'm not going to plug, actually I'll plug mine in. My silhouette's literally right next to me on the floor. I don't have a very big desk. All right, so if I turn it on, you guys can hear the noise. So my silhouette, the 4 has a Autosense on it, and it can figure out what blade I have in it. So you see where it says Autoblade? It knows that there's an Autoblade in it. If I change,
Where does it say Autoblade? Oh, I see it now. Thank you.
So let me show you a bit. Excuse me for 1 second. I left my bin of silhouette slides on the other side of my room. All right, I'm going to stop sharing for a second so I can show you guys some of the tools. Once we got into that. All right, so this is the Autoblade. I just haven't opened this one yet. So this one is for the 4.
Okay.
So the 3 does look different. The reason it's different is, I really don't have an open one. That's what scissors are for. Or not. All right, so I can show you in these caps. So the 4 comes with these things. They're little adapters to place on things. And this little metal bar on the back.
Yeah.
That's the sensor part. This is only for the 4. It does not do that on the 3. The 3, though, has the Autoblade, which is really nice. And the Autoblade, it actually sets the depth. You tell it how deep to put it, and I'll show you how to do that. And that's how deep it'll be.
Okay.
So it does this like cool clicky thing. Some of the other things, and we have these at the library too. They look a little different. These are actually gel pens. So you can actually put the gel pen in and draw on paper or cardstock. You do not want to use paper on the mats because they are tacky,
Okay.
and regular paper just rips, and you end up with a weird film, and it's just not fun. So yeah, lots of colors and markers. What other things? That's all it's fun. Something we do have at the library, and I'm still kind of figuring out, so hopefully we'll do a class on it, is these are fabric markers.
Oh, that's nice.
The insets, I don't think this is the right one, but these are by We Are Memory Keeper, and they're fabric pens, so they'll draw. I think there's a bleach pen in here as well, and you can actually draw on fabric with these.
Oh.
And it does work. I wish I
It's-
could remember what I did with my sample. Is it in here? That would be too easy. Oh, it is in here.
Mm.
So it is possible. I think I've got the settings figured out for the fabric. We also have one at work that will etch on plastic.
Oh.
We have a singe marker as well. So it is a marker that you draw on wood, and then you take a heat gun to it. Hi, Denise. And you take a heat gun to it, and it'll reveal the image on it. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that safely because it gets really hot. Trying to see if I have a sample. I don't. I think I left it at work.
Interesting.
The tools. I'll show the mat again. So this is the mat. I have a piece of, it comes with a piece of protective covering, so it protects the tack. And you can see mine's kind of messy, and that's the way it should be. Oh, I left a letter. I left a music note on it. One of the girls who was graduating, she's going into musical therapy.
Oh.
So she got music notes on her card. But yeah, so it's tacky. So you want it, it's got to be like the right tack. It can't be too strong, but it can't be too light.
Mm-hmm.
So for fabric, you want it as a relatively heavy tack, but for cardstock, you want it at a medium to light tack. You want it to stay put and not fall out of the machine, fall off of the thing. Because that's really frustrating when that happens. One thing about our machine at work is there is a little lever at the end, and it likes to scoot over, and if it does, the mat will go flying, and you'll have to restart your cut again, and usually on a different piece of paper. All right, let's go back to the software. All right, so we're in the cut thing. So remember I said you can set the depth and stuff? So it'll kind of guess the depth based on what material you have set up. Am I sharing? I'm not sharing.
No, it's not sharing. I was about to mention that. There you go.
This is so much easier in person. So see where it says material?
Mm-hmm.
So when I change that material, it will actually change so let's just say cardstock plain. So see how it changed the depth? So this is the depth, this is the force, and this is the speed, and then the passes. Some things, stickers like to do a double pass because it just depends on the material.
Okay.
It's always best to go with the default settings for the material. The only thing I'll change is, especially if I'm working on a lot of cardstock, is eventually I will up this depth by 1 and usually change the force to a little bit higher. And that's just because the blade does get dull after a while.
Yeah.
One thing to help with your blade getting dull, besides just replacing it, is to tin foil. Stab the blade into your tin foil. It does help keep it sharp a little bit longer.
Oh.
If you're going to use, and for your personal, since this doesn't count for the studio machine, but if for your personal machine, if you're doing nothing but vinyl, your blade will stay really nice for very long. One of the ways you can tell if your blade is dull is if it starts doing really ragged cuts.
Hmm.
Okay.
That's when you know that it's probably not as sharp as it could be.
Lagos opened up today, and Vicki just went to patronize them. You know, it'd be nice if she did.
I wouldn't count on it, but
Oh, well, whatever.
Huh? Okay, so that is the send screen. So when you're ready and you have your material loaded, you just hit send. Let's see, what else can I talk about? It's supposed to last an hour.
Well, I'm interested in using it for material. What if I wanted to import a pattern? I became curious about this as I was cutting masks out, thinking there might be an easier way to do that with the machine. And
Yes,
can it go through double thickness of material, or is it?
it will only go through single, because remember, you have to have the mat to tack it down, and you would
Okay.
have to use the rotary blade.
Yeah. And if you had a pattern, you would import it the same way you did when you did the cat picture?
Yes, the one nice thing is Silhouette does have a free mask pattern. So I'm gonna go back to the store real quick and show you guys. So, because I think I downloaded it for myself personally, I did not put it on the library's account.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go while I'm paying attention to stuff. So they have the polygon one, but I thought I saw. That.
It was just down in the corner, just below where you were.
Yeah, below the heart-shaped flower thing.
There we go.
Right there.
And okay, so I own it. Let's go back to my account and let's see. Let's take a look at it. Don't think. Where are you guys go?
There it is.
I need to stop moving. All right. I don't remember when I put it in. I thought I left it loose.
Right there. Face
Oh,
mask showing, you just.
Yeah.
All right. Of course I have to move him. Okay, so this is having you lay out in a 12 by 12. So, yeah. Did this kind of help with your question?
Yeah, it is. It's actually very similar to the pattern I was using, except of course, typical sewing, it's double-sided, but they basically where you would do two back-to-backs of the same, two cuts back-to-back of the same image. It was the same type of image, so it was actually the style I've been sewing.
I did the rectangular ones when I made some for my household.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to. I wasn't cutting on an edge. But yes, I mean the answer is yes. It would definitely give you a much more precise, and it looks like it. I think it's just giving you your seam allowance. I don't think it'll cut that.
Yeah, that's probably just the seam allowance.
So, and here's what would actually cut. Well, I don't have it set up correctly. That's why. That's why it looks like that. So let's change that so it looks correct. And then when I hit send, all right, so I would definitely have to resize this because I have the registration marks on too. And you would have to make sure you put fabric as the material.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then say how much, so cotton print.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That was going to be my next question about how do you choose the fabric, since fabrics have a lot of different thicknesses. So
I would say educated guess. These are all the different choices you have. So cotton print, canvas, linen, wool, and then just pick the one that you feel is the closest.
okay.
The Silhouette itself is not a very heavy machine, so I would stick to usually the cotton and all that kind of stuff. Felt would be kind of pushing it, but it can do up to 3 millimeters in depth depending on your blade. So the library does have a deep cut blade. So the Silhouette 3 does up to 2 millimeters, and the 4 does up to 3 millimeters if you have the right blade. And that blade has to go into the second hole. So each of the machines has 2 things. It doesn't mean you can cut with 2 of it in time. Just the one on the farthest side actually has much more force to it. So that would be where it says tool 2 right here. that's what that would be.
Okay.
Sometimes I get creative and I'll have like 2 markers in there. So I'll have them in 2 different colors. So I can, I can tell it I want it to be on tool 2, and I'll change it so it'll use the different color.
Okay.
And that's just telling me it's a different tool. It's not something you run into a ton. Last thoughts, questions?
Thank you very much, Anna. Very much enjoyed your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.